Hi everybody, my name is Elitruder Makupa. I'm a Queen Elizabeth's intern from East Africa in Tanzania. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of the program and UFV for giving me this opportunity, like to explore the other parts of the world, because I'm from the developing country and this is one is developed. So it enables me to see another context in terms of culture and development perspectives. So I'm grateful for that. Now I'll talk my experience here in Abbotsford, specifically related to planning of the city. As we all know that land use, how we plan our land and develop our land is all affects all parts of our lives in terms of our daily livelihood, in terms of how we live, how we work and play. And therefore, sustainable planning is a crucial aspect to make that the community needs and their life are made comfortable in their daily living. So, on my perspective, when I look at Abbotsford, looking at my home country, it's like I say, wow, because even those who are were in Dar es Salaam or in Tanzania, they can confirm that like we are still back and we're still like behind the technology which is here. Like we have good transportation network systems, we have good residential neighborhoods with good plannings, we have like agricultural land use which have been reserved for agricultural activities. So like the planning here is much better compared to my home countries. And what I've learned from the planning system here is that the actors or the practitioners, they do planning in terms of making their cities sustainable, but also they have the community involvement in their daily practices whereby their needs are incorporated in their planning activities. But again, there is involvement of various like researchers and people who are expertise in their working activities. For using that one, it makes the planning activities more easier. However, there are some limitations that I have noted, like the lack of walking and biking ways for other people who do not have access to cars, but also like public transport in the city. There are some routes which are limited with the buses, like you can't just go or use the public transport. But again, the social aspects in terms of like connection between the people in the neighborhood, to me I feel like it is missing because like in my home country, you'll find in a certain neighborhood, people will know each other, their kids and the like. But here it's kind of independent as everybody is on his own. So the key message back home, reference to Abbotsford, is that we need to have sustainable planning in our cities. And this can be achieved through having good policies, strategies, and approaches that incorporate sustainable plans and aspects in the practice. But also we need to have community involvement during making our implementation, like know what are the community needs, what are their requirements, what are their opinions, so that we do something or we plan for something which will save the community. But also there is need of involving the expertise, the researchers, with the actors in the government offices so that the planning which will be made or the policies which are being formulated can be workable. So from that, my message is, let's run for sustainable cities whereby our community will be healthy and enjoy a good quality of life. But again, the community assets and resources will be effectively managed. Our natural environment will be prospering, but then a community should be compact, connected, and complete. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Given Justin Mhina. I'm a Queen Elizabeth scholar from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I'm actually coming from the same institution from the last speaker. I actually feel so honored to be here in front of you today, and especially being here as a Queen Elizabeth scholar. You know, everybody has a dream, and sometimes our dreams looks like they are too big and they are too good to be true. I really thank UFV for receiving us here, and again, the scholarship program, Chileans, and all that have made this program possible. Yeah, I need to be thankful because having me crossing the Atlantic to this far northern end of the world, yeah, it's not something small. It's a lifetime achievement for me, at least. Now, if I look into what have I been doing while I'm here, yeah, probably there are so many things related to culture and the differences in terms of environment and everything. But probably I would like to share a few things. Now, for the last 3 years, I have actually been doing a research on the needs and options for stormwater management. Actually, this is in the perspective of the developing world in the global south. And the research itself, which is actually related on stormwater management, is very much related and has synergies to issues of food security and food supply chain in urban areas, especially in cities of East Africa. Yeah, with respect to these two things here, my 3-month stay in Abbotsford has added so much value to first in my research, my personal PhD research. But again, it has actually reshaped the way I can argue various phenomena in issues related to food security and food supply chain in urban environment. If I probably share just a little bit on what benefits have I got with respect to my personal research. Yeah, probably if I start with comparing with the experiences I have on the food chain back in East African cities, especially in Dar es Salaam, where I'm coming from, apart from the fact that so much food which is actually eaten here in Abbotsford, or actually the food which is grown here in Abbotsford, it seems like ends up somewhere in the garbage bins. Yeah, again, in good terms, because I had an opportunity to talk to some of the experts who are dealing with food waste reduction here in Abbotsford through conversation. And again, we had an opportunity to go to a film event that was actually to kickstart food reduction campaign or food reduction week here in Abbotsford. I came to realize that it was actually said more than 50% of the food which is grown is never finding its way to be eaten. And to me, that was actually something to take home with me. And in a way, it has a way to change the perspective I look into different aspects of research. But that being a fact, it came to also be known to me that more than 50% again of the city food is actually grown within the city. So it's kind of the food that is available, or the city is feeding itself. And looking at the size of Abbotsford, this was actually a great phenomenon in relation to food security and food supply chain, as opposed to the situation in many East African cities where the food actually is really not enough, meaning that the food security for most of the poor families in East Africa is never that good. But again, the food has to travel so many distances, so many kilometers, so to say, to get to the cities. So in that aspect, for sure, I had something to take with me home. With respect to issues related to stormwater management, that was my curiosity when I was going around the city, that I always been curious to see what's being actually put in place here in Abbotsford in relation to the theories I know about stormwater management. And I came to a point and realized that there are so many things, there are so many theories that are actually challenged. For example, I had an information from a reputable source, actually it was in the class, that the built environment here in Abbotsford is more or less more than 50%. That means the amount of impervious surfaces, which is actually in the city now, is more than what is required to at least start seeing that the city has some signs of flooding events. But that wasn't the case, and probably I really need to go back and look at what exactly can be a good explanation to tell the differences on how these cities are urbanizing. Lastly, I'm told my time is over here, but yeah, I would like to remind my young brothers and sisters who are here, I'm very sure that you really chose a good place to come and study, but just to remind you that you are so lucky to being exposed to such a wonderful, good academic atmosphere at this age. Thank you very much.